Oh, she's looking good. Looking good. Look at all that chrome. Everything's glistening. That is just such beautiful 70s flavor right now. Oh, now, I know you guys might be going, wait a minute. Last time, you barely had the heads on this thing. Now you're on the test stand and you got valve cover, intake, all this stuff going on. Man, what is going on? All right, well, let me kind of get you up to date on what's going on here. There's a few things that we've done, the front dress, the intake, the valve covers. I went through and I cleaned everything up, made it look all nice and pretty. So I tell you what, let me get you up to date on this. I'm gonna keep cracking on here and then we'll meet back up on the test stand. Oh yeah. Well, you gotta stick around to the end of the video and then I'm gonna give you guys the lowdown on everything that's here, but you gotta wait to the end of this episode. We have a beautiful coat of Chevy orange, and I had to throw the intake on there because that was so much orange. But this is the intake that was originally on this. This is a Wind accelerator, and you guys, this came out in 1978. This is from 1978. When Mike ended up building this motor for the Nomad and got it all done and all that, all the bearings and everything in this thing were labeled as 1978. So this is the first rendition of this intake. They still sell this in their nostalgic series intake manifolds, but I just wanted to show you guys this. Look at that plenum. Oh, that right there, that is horrible. Horrible. I know what they were trying to do, but blah. I can tell you right now, you can probably buy a Chinese intake that will outperform that, but that is not the reason why we're doing it. The reason why we're doing it is to make it exactly what you would have seen in the 70s and what this thing was in the 70s all through its entire life. Also have the original valve covers. They've seen better days. We're going to go through. I'm going to clean this intake up. I'm going to bring this thing back to life. And those valve covers, we're going to bring those things back to life. Now, they will get painted black because that is the way Mike had them on the Nomad. All right, so let's have a look-see after 40 plus years of dirt, grime, and grease. That is what we ended up with. So looks pretty good. I mean, you can see some of the old casting flaws that they would have had back in the 70s and inside these ports. I mean, oh, look at how thick. Yeah, look at that. That is just, ooh, that's horrible. But I blasted inside there as well just to kind of smooth some things out. So this is not finished. We're going to go through, clean everything up. We have one bolt head that's broken on the thermostat, so I am going to pop that bad boy out of there. Then Eastwood makes a really nice paint for doing what I'm doing right here. They call it Alumablast. We're going to cover it in Alumablast and detail a couple more things up on it. This will be good, and we're going to go get those valve covers. All right, so we got the valve covers done. Ooh, nope, not completely. I missed a spot. But that's what we're looking at. They're not too shabby for 50-plus-year-old valve covers. But then I'm going to touch this one last spot up, and now we're going to start doing some detail work on the intake and getting these valve covers back to life too. So here's what we are going to try. I ended up grinding a bolt down and got this welded on. I'm going to let this cool off a little bit. Got it. I welded the snot out of it. Ah, there we be. Just everything's just setting on right now, but that intake turned out so much nicer. And like I said, that is just glass beads, and then I just did Alumablast on it. And then these got blasted, trim black, and then I just cleaned this off with some lacquer thinner. So we actually have our fins still in there. That turned out pretty nice, you guys. This is how we're gonna check push rod length. We're gonna Sharpie up the tips of our valves, then we're gonna throw our push rods in, then we're gonna put our rocker arms, run it through maybe once or twice, and then we wanna see the mark that's left here and I'll show you if we're on or if we need to lengthen or shorten it. All right, let's run this sucker through. Let's see what we get. Now, they're a little sloppy. I didn't lash them. I basically went 0 lash and then just backed it off a little bit. Now, I'm not super worried about it. It's just the point of getting the rollers to move on the valves like so. So there we go. Okay, now let's pop those off and take a look. And there we go. You can see how we're just about right in that halfway area. You're gonna have X amount of roll. When this gets pushed up, it's gonna shove it down and then roll it back. You're gonna get X amount of that. Shaft mounted rockers are gonna be the best thing to keep you in one set spot. But these are roller tip comps. But what I wanna see is this being in the center of the valve. So if all of a sudden I was down here into this black section into here, well, then that's too long of a push rod, that's too short of a push rod. If this was just up from center, just a little bit, you might be 50 thousandths. Let's say you start getting up into this area, you might be 100 thousandths. And 50 and 100 thousandths makes a big difference in here. But that to me looks good. So we're ready to rock and roll on that port. How can you not like all that chrome? I'm telling you, it looks so good. You gotta see this thing in person. Oh, bam! I hope you got muscle on the brain, because I do today. Why? Because we're gonna put that thing on the test stand, that's right. So, now that you're caught up and you know what is going on with this bad boy, but we got to put the rocker arms on this thing and then an MSD Pro Billet distributor in it. So that is one upgrade from obviously the 70s of a point style distributor. That is just a gimme of an upgrade. And this is the original 70 LT1 Corvette carburetor. What I have for this is a trick kit that we're going to put in. So we're going to do a full rebuild, do a couple of little small tricks. I'm sure you can tell from me, it's just like, this is cool. You know, yes, I love the Pro Charge 1800 horse combination and all that. That thing was absolute swing the whole time that I was dying with it. But there's just something about the golden era muscle car. You know what I mean? When you're talking from like, I would say 1965 to like 72 legitimately, but maybe 73. But that era of car, you know, the real golden era muscle cars, why you just doesn't like, yeah, you know, I can hear an original 327, 350 horse engine. It's like, that's just cool to me. Hopefully it's cool to you. Put it down in the comments if you dig it or not. But let's get working. I've been jabberjawing enough. If you've never adjusted a solid flat tappet cam, guys, don't get discouraged. Don't think, oh man, I'm just gonna stay away because it's just so, I just don't get it. Come on. You know, when you first were doing it, it was like, where's the spark plug again? I don't remember where them spark plugs are. And then you can change plugs like it's nothing. It's just a new thing that you might have to learn. It's not that complicated. I'm gonna show you a very, very simple and easy way to do it that's pretty much foolproof compared to some of these papers that are like set number 1 exhaust and then adjust this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay, now set that. Guys, you are gonna get so screwed up going, well, did I do that one? Did I forget that one? We are literally gonna do a cylinder at a time. Guys, you can do this really, really quick. Now I'm gonna show you one cylinder. All you're gonna do then is copycat that onto the rest. Now I will say this, after you adjust it hot, you know, when you finally verify that you're at where you're at, and you're gonna go through the same way that I'm showing you here, once it's adjusted, let this thing cool off, pop the valve cover off, and then check where it is cold. At that point, you know exactly where it needs to be when it's cold. There's no hot valve covers or anything like that that you're gonna burn your hands on because you know what it is cold.
Once the exhaust just barely starts to open, go ahead and adjust your intake valve. Now, when the intake valve fully opens and it just starts to close, adjust the exhaust valve. That's it.
I wanted to keep kind of that 70s theme going. So this has the Walker Dynamax mufflers on it. If you guys don't remember those, that was like the go-to muffler to go. I remember back in the 80s was like the what was it? The Sonic Thrush or the Thrush Sonic Turbo or the Walker Dynamax. Those were it of having the best sounding muffler back then. So I found it kind of stuck in the rafters a set of Walker Dynamax, and I thought, you know what? We got to throw them on. This is going to sound exactly the same as what it should sound back in the 70s. So I'm excited for this. Now, we have to break the camshaft in, so I got to go through all that stuff. This one oil leak coming off the bolt right there. So I'm thinking I'll probably end up putting another bolt in it. I've already tried tightening it up. That didn't work. You know, maybe I can try a washer on there. That's nothing. If that's the worst of it, the front seal's good, rear seal's good. There's no other leaks anywhere except for that one little bit. So I'm fine with that, you guys. So what you think of the old 3030 cam?
Well, 1970 again. I guess the quietest motor we've ever put on here.
You want to give it a little rev up? That doesn't sound bad. Sounding pretty good. Now let's go open header. sounds good. What you think?
Still good motor.
Sounds good. I promised you guys I would give you all the lowdown on what this engine is and everything that's in it. This is a real 1970 LT1 out of a vet. The pieces that are on this were the way that they came from the Nomad, the way that Mike built it 50 years ago. And what I've added on to it was a set of roller-tipped, comp cams, roller-tipped rocker arms, a little bit of chrome here up front, nothing crazy. It's something that Matt wanted to put up front. So we just added on some good old-fashioned Mr. Gasket chrome, which doesn't take away from the air. This still has the original crank, rods, and pistons. So forged crank, forged rods, forged pistons. We didn't go 30 over, didn't need to, which was very surprising, but we didn't go 30 over. New rings, new bearings. It has a Comp Cam's Nostalgia Series 3030 cam. A bit of a one-up from the LT1 cam that was originally in it, but it's not leaps and bounds bigger by any means. Still has the 780 vacuum secondary that I went through, and I ended up rebuilding that. I threw that in a video. If you guys didn't see that, I just put that one up if you're interested. And it now has a full MSD in it, so we got rid of the points. So it does have a full MSD in it, and it's just everything's fresh and rebuilt. The cylinder heads were gone through by Steve Morris Racing Engines. They ended up doing springs, locks, retainers, obviously all set up for this new camshaft. Valve job, new valves, surfaced the heads, and he also had to pin the head. There was a crack going off of the intake side valve seat that had to get addressed because it was just leaking water into the motor. Got all that stuff fixed. It's ready to rock and roll. So it's still 11-to-1 compression. It's still mean, it's still nasty. I would say now we're probably making a legit north of 400 horsepower. I gotta say, this turned out really, really good. I love how it sounds. The old 3030 cam's still crackling, coming to life, sounds fantastic. I can't wait for Matt, if he's gonna throw it into an El Camino, or if it's gonna go back in the Nomad, wherever it goes, it's gonna perform quite well. So, till we meet again, hope to see you at the track. Get your butts out there in those garages, start cracking your knuckles, getting them going, working on your own projects. Get out there and get something moving. So, until we meet again, my friends, see ya.